My name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today we're talking about depth from darkness and depression. It is, I think, pretty common, really, in the modern age for two-leggeds to experience. And just as a general rule, I would say this realm is a light and shadow teacher realm. So I think it's kind of normative for a two-legged to experience darkness, periods of shadow teacher, periods of fear or false evidence appearing real, periods of separation and separatist thinking, non-unification thinking, and periods of judgment, vilification of self and vilification of others. So just to clarify, that's what I'm talking about when I say darkness. Feels like, feels disconnected from the self, disconnected from others. And that darkness, and part of it can be our own darkness, our own tendency and propensity to judge the self, tendency and propensity to judge those that are not like us, which creates walls and separation from the all that is, which you can't actually separate from, so that feels uncomfortable. Or whether it's others behaving in ways that to our own state of evolution seem unevolved, and that us feeling wounded by the world. Many two-leggeds, as they evolve, they start to recognize there's tremendous dysfunction. There's dysfunction in our educational system, for sure. Teachers don't get paid a lot. They spend a lot of time grading papers, putting in volunteer work, often buying supplies, and that's not a priority culturally, that we are stewards of those that are stewards of our children and educating our future. We can pick a million different topics about the dysfunction of this realm, the dysfunction, or the challenge, or the darkened hour called shadow teacher down here, and all the many different dresses, pants, costumes, tutus that dances around in this realm. And it often will lead to periods of depression. It can lead to periods of questioning the self, periods of self-recrimination, self-judgment, periods of recrimination and judgment against others. And I think what can get missed by the two-legged on this topic, what I can definitively say what I've missed on this topic many times, is what a potent teacher that is and how much depth it creates in the matrix. Some of the deepest, richest, and I'm very blessed to know some deep, rich, interesting, fascinating two-leggeds with all kinds of good meatiness in their being, colorfulness, interestingness in their isness, And those two-leggeds, in my experience, have had a lot of hardship. They've had a lot of darkness. They've had a lot of shadow teacher. And that teacher tends to kind of really get you to a place to where you will start to strive, desire, crave, seek greater periods of illumination, greater light casting out the shadow moments, greater laughter at the cosmic joke of all this foolishness down here. I think it was Voltaire that said God is a comedian playing to an audience that's too afraid to laugh. Ain't it the truth? Let's not forget to laugh, you guys. This foolishness is silly. It's really silly. We get real attached to it. We're like, it's so terrible. But part of it is the way evolution is able to occur for the two-legged is to have some of this gritty. Shadow's not the enemy. Shadow's not the enemy. I've said before, when I was blessed to take the jungle medicine and tremendous teacher that I call Madre Ayahuasca. Sometimes I call her Abuela de la Tierra because I don't speak Spanish, and this is how Heather speaks when she tries to. I see her as grandmother of the earth in some ways because she feels like the wisdom underneath the motherness of Mother Gaia here. She showed me because I'm somebody who wants to teach about neutrality, and neutrality is about coming out of that really polarized state of good, bad, right, wrong. It's in order to step out of that duality, we embrace shadow. We go, I've had some darkness. And I can tell you point blank, is the love and the light of truth and the light of truth and the wisdom that I've received in this life, light of truth, other humans, those of you out there, big ups and thank you to all my subscribers on YouTube. Big ups and thank you to my family and my friends and all the people that bring light and bring love and bring generosity and bring compassion and bring understanding and seeing and non-judgment and unification instead of separation into my life. All great teachers, and also all that shadow teacher, all those people that brought into my life separation, pain, all those things that took me into deep pits of depression have caused me to not only have greater empathy, understanding, and compassion for mental health and for emotional health. It has caused me to have great compassion and understanding for my own journey of not always having to be in this super evolved state. Like, Heather, you just always need to be loved and always be happy. No, actually, we came to be sad and we came to get angry. And there can be a tremendous amount of vilification around the emotional matrix down here. You're not allowed to be sad. Don't cry in public. Why? Why? If I'm sad, why do I have to let me make sure I'm in the right location and be crying? Because what? Because you're going to judge me? Well, you're in breakdown. Figure it out. It's not my problem. You have the right to be sad when you are and where you are. And I think one of the more potent things you can do, because we release different chemicals in our tears when we cry tears of sadness than we do when we cry tears of joy. I think the most potent thing you can do is let those chemicals be released in the moment when they're flushing up, irrespective of your locality in the space-time delusion. That's very freeing. To be free to be sad, to be free to be depressed, and to honor depression as the teacher that it is. So I have been well blessed in the past year, and one of the things I've done with my blessings is I have purchased for many others, as well as for myself, many readings from Akashic Resources. You can go to Akashic Resources through Facebook or akashicresources.com, AKASHIC resources.com, and a beautiful group of humans, Golbahar and Brian. They work together as a couple to go into the inner levels of mind and to pluck from the Akashic records past lives that will assist you in understanding more deeply what it is you're seeking to know or understand. So the most recent report that I got was a happiness and fulfillment reading. And the past life that most related to my happiness and fulfillment was a lifetime in Ireland. I was kind of a house steward for a very wealthy woman. And initially I really thought, man, and I thought about how back in the day, how dresses were made. Things used to be made so quality. And no doubt I would pass shop windows and find these fancy dresses that this woman I worked for could wear that I couldn't afford. So through much of the life, I thought, man, I wish I had her blessings. But I worked with the family, and when she got married, I moved in to live with her. And what I learned is that she did not have all the love, all the attention, all the connection, all the communication, all of the relational blessings that I had in my life. She had material objects, but she did not have relational blessings. And it was through witnessing her life that I realized that I was actually the one with the greater blessings. I was like, oh, dang, I've got the blessing. Okay. I've got people that love me and they hear me and they see me and they're not ignoring me and I'm valued and these blessings, all that pretty dress will decay. Those things will all rot away. So will we off our bones one day. And so really, one of the things I say often this day is what we take with us when we exit flesh costume is relationship. Our relationship to self and who we've chosen to be, and our relationship to others and how we've chosen to develop in those frequencies. And, that's why I would say forgiveness and love and coming back to love are important practices. And I would say all relationships are eternal, energy is eternal. So for me, a lot of my focus in the current life stems around my relationship with self and my relationship with others. And part of that, and this is one of the things that came up in the report, is a lot of my relationship with self. It's said that I vacillate, and this is a fact, and that's what I love about these readings, because it's creepy, are you in my life? Are you in my body talking to me? What's happening? Because I don't necessarily always share everything. I'm working to do that more and more to open humanity's throat chakra so that y'all will share more and more. I'll get on video. Come on, share your voice. But she basically was saying, I vacillate between periods of great joy and enlightenment and brightness and humor and excitation at existence, and then come into very darkened periods of depression in which it's like there's not even a glimmer of light I can reach for. It's like everything I just knew a moment ago and all of that joy, there's literally nothing I can see. And so, psychology will want to be like, that's bipolar. But really fundamentally, what the report stated, which is true, is that a lot of that has to do with my PTSD. It has to do with my trauma. It has to do with a lot of my trauma revolving around death. And there are moments in this life where I really crave relationship with mom, relationship with dad, relationship with grandma, grandpa, grandmother, grandfather, relationship with this best friend, relationship with that best friend, relationship with that former lover, relationship. I crave and feel disheartened by the fact that I no longer can engage in some of the relationships that were very beneficial to the light of my awareness. And so what the report said is that it's important for you to know that before you took up your flesh costume, you wanted that. And I've always known this, but it's tricky. It can be difficult to fully take responsibility for what may be necessary for our individual evolution. So I've actually started to witness the more evolved a being gets. I think the ego wants to tell us, or we want to think maybe, or I want to think, I'll take responsibility for it, that evolution, life gets easier and easier. Ooh, it gets more fluffy. Look at how fluffy my life is. I'm evolved. And it may bring in more of the desired outcome because you start to understand more of the fundamental laws of manifestation and how the art of creation works in this realm. And you start working with ancient principles and techniques that have been around forever in the annals of time through many, many books about how to create the reality that you seek. And the teacher actually gets stronger. In my experience, the more evolved beings I've met in this life are the ones who have had the most shadow teacher. They've had the biggest, most intense lessons to evolve through. And that intensity can increase. But of course, that's been happening in my own life. But I also find I'm also evolving and growing in my capacity, in my resilience, in my resolution and capacity to receive those bigger lessons without as much attachment, pain, suffering as a result of it. And that was recognized in the report as well. For many of us, if we look, we will find that our life in many ways has progressively gotten a little better and a little better. And if you don't feel that way right now, you might be in the thick of a really intense, you might just be an evolved being in the thick of a really intense lesson that you're going to come out the other side of more evolved, more compassionate with yourself or with others or whatever it is, whatever, more forgiving, whatever frequency it is you're wanting to pick up and absorb. What I want to say this day is that it may behoove us individually, it certainly is going to behoove me and does, to recognize that darkness, depression, shadow teacher, pain, hurting are gifts. Are gifts. Richard Bach says there's no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hands. In the book Illusions, there's no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hands. And if you look back to every problem you've ever had, if you are willing to hold proper perspective, and if you're willing to look for the gift, you'll find there was always one there. You'll find you always were given a gift. Many times my gift has been to have compassion, that evolution occurs at variant rates for two-leggeds, and to not expect others to evolve at my same rate, and to not allow my compassion to have a line. I'll be compassionate towards those that hold my labels and agree with me, but y'all screwed up, figure it out. So there are gifts in there. Can you accept any darkness, depression, or pain that you feel as an offering, as a gift, as something that, and can we look for that? Can we look for what is the gift of this darkness and depression? What is it giving me? What am I getting out of it? How is it aiding me? Maybe it's not this thing that just shouldn't be. Maybe it does serve a purpose. And that's something for me to look on to see. I just love little rhymes. Go to rarebirdmedicine.com, click on the classes link. We do have awesome classes coming up with a lot of information and laughter, which is always what my classes are about. You can always subscribe on YouTube under Rare Bird Medicine. Have a golden day.